Okay, so I told my parents about my spiritual journey that I'm going through, and I told my dad first, and his reaction was a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought he was like, "Damned you to hell," but he was, you know, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, just don't disown me. But he was pretty. He said he felt it in his spirit that I was doing something spiritually that I had no business doing. Before I got a chance to tell him, well, the conversation actually went like, I have something to tell you. He was like, what? I was like, well, I was waiting on the right time. Okay. So he was like, well, does it have anything to do with religion? And I'm like, yeah. That could, that could be, okay, we'll get to that later. Okay. So he was like, lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. My first time doing this at home, like I'm alone. Okay. I told him, I said, well, yes, it has something to do with religion. He was like, well, I felt it in my spirit that, that you were doing something spiritually that you had no business, or that, this dangerous spiritually. And, yeah. So I was like, okay, how'd you know? Did somebody tell you something? I thought maybe somebody saw a video or something. He was like, no. And I was like, well, how'd you know? He was like, first tell me what you were going to tell me. And I'm like, okay, tell me how you even, would know what I'm talking about. He was like, just tell me first. And I was like, okay. So I said, well, I'm just going through this journey, and I'm thinking that for me and my path in life, you know, like I'm such an inquisitive person. He was like, just get to it. I'm like, okay, okay. But I'm just letting you know that I'm just such a, I have, answers. I mean, I have questions, a lot of questions about life that, a lot of the times, the Bible may answer, but a lot of times there's a lot of questions I have that the Bible doesn't answer also. And, I think it's just more to the story. He was like, just get to the point. And I'm like, yeah, that is my point, I just think that he's like, are you saying that the Bible isn't real or something? I was like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's more to the story than that's just inside the Bible. And he was like, well, just get to the point. I was like, well, that's it. That's what I had to tell you. So, my husband, he was raised Muslim. He's from Bangladesh. And he was like, well, does it have anything to do with Muslim or Roman? And I was like, no. A lot of Arabs I don't even like. So no. It's not the fact that I don't like them. Because I don't want Arabs to get mad at me. I do have some Arab friends, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of the Arabs that I personally don't like, that I've come in encounter with because of this superiority complex that I perceive. Not from an inferiority complex on my end, because I don't feel inferior to anyone. So, in my view, from my perspective, it's perceived by me from this, these people, of a superior, because of the Arab, because of the religious, because of their religion. So, yeah. So I was like, no, that's not it. He was like, well, what are you? Or something like that. And I'm like, well, I'm just a person. And I just, have a lot of questions. And a lot of the times Christianity has not answered them, to my satisfaction. And, he was like, started saying about leaning not into your own understanding and lead under God's understanding. And, I understand that. And he was telling me, the choice is between heaven and hell. Okay, I understand that too. I understand the risks But, I would have more faith and confidence, if some of my questions were answered. So I said, well, Dad, well, just if you can answer me this question, then I'll rethink everything, I'll rethink everything, again. So if you can answer me just this one question. And he was like, okay, what is it? I said, could you please tell me why the story of baby Jesus is the same story of baby Osiris and a lot of other, religious gods? And he was like, no. The Osiris, you're going to be Osiris, all right. And I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, now I love my dad. I do. God knows I do. Okay, that's, I have I'm his seed. Okay. So, but I just, in that realization of where my family is from, I'm thinking, from my perspective, North Carolina is, I know it's country. I know we're from the country. Don't get me wrong. But I was just thinking how limited we have been boxed in our society and our culture from where I'm from. So I was just thinking like the how big the circumference is of the realm of knowledge that's passed along through my area, and it's not that big. So I'm very understanding in that, So he was just like, no. So basically he's never heard of Osiris. Yeah. So at that point I was like, okay, Dad, I was just listening and, okay, just listening. Okay. All right. I understand. And then we briefly talked. I love you. I love you too. Okay. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk about this later. Okay. Bye. Okay. So that was that. And the next day I called my mom and I was telling her pretty much the same thing. And I was like, I don't think I'm, Christian anymore. And she was like, well, what are you? And I said, I'm a person. And she said, well, you got that right. You are a person. She said, be honest. She said, I can't tell you. She said, because I can't tell you anything that happened prior to 1963 because I wasn't born then. And be honest, I can't tell you anything that happened to past like 1973 because I was a kid and I didn't really know. So anything after 1973 I can tell you about. But anything prior to 1973, I don't know because I wasn't there. So you believe what you want to believe. You do you. I just want you to be you. And, okay. I'm not comparing my mom and my dad because they're two different people. If that's the case, I would compare every two people in the world. But that's just the difference in differences in people. Yeah. So it was easier than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be really, really hard. But I haven't, a lot of people that like are around me that come to me that I know from church, that I like people, that I really don't come into contact with. Normally I'm at work every day, so I come into contact with customers every day, and that's about it. Unless I go home, which is like once a year. I really don't know anybody here except for my customers, and they're pretty much my friends that I have here, because they do business with me. So yeah, we're friends, but I really don't get into like religious or political conversations with them. It's mostly like surface conversations, weather, trends, and things of that sort. But yeah, it's I feel like now I feel like how gays come out to the parents, I'm gay. I want to say I know what they feel like, but I don't know exactly what they feel like because I'm not gay. So I don't know, can't really, but it seems like it would be similar, having something that you want to tell people about that that they may not respond well to. But yeah. um, if you want to be free, if you want to have knowledge and you want to seek more, you know, coming out of the shell, it's not like, hey everybody, guess what? I woke up. You know, you just are woke, or you're just woke, and you just see things, and you just it helps you make better decisions because you see things for what for what they are. So when you're making a decision, you can base it off like all of the knowledge that you have on a subject, as opposed to just one-sidedness. And actually, I saw a movie the other night about this girl. She was a preacher's daughter, PK, like me, and she ended up having an affair with the assistant pastor / minister of music, and she got pregnant by him and she miscarried her baby on purpose because she didn't want to go to the abortion clinic because of the people picketing outside. So she just tried to do it herself on a backhand street with some pills. And she ran away for like 4 years. And when she came back, her dad was all like, oh, welcome home. The prodigal child story. And yeah, being raised like as a preacher's daughter, people have a lot of standards held on you more than anyone else. And they expect you to be a certain way. And if you're not that way, it's like, oh, whoa. And I was the epiphany of that coming up. So people really aren't shocked by me. But I wonder, like, if people knew, like, okay, the bishop's daughter, is, telling people on YouTube about the opposite of what the bishop is preaching. That's a hard pill to swallow. But truth is a hard pill to swallow also. And I seek after the truth no matter what, like, and I in my spirit, it's like I won't stop until I find out exactly what everything is all about. Like, why shouldn't I, like, if my brain seeks to find that out, why shouldn't I be free to find out without damning myself to hell? It's there's so many layers to that. It's like, okay, so what does that mean, damning yourself to hell? Does that mean like going to a place like Agartha and being set on fire the whole time? Or is that like staying here in the third dimension, or the lowest chakra, which could be deemed as hell? Or, like, what are you saying what do you mean when you're saying that? Do you know what you're talking about when you're coming at me in a certain way to ask me, about myself, looking for an answer? Because if I give you the answer and the answer is outside your spectrum, then are you be satisfied with the answer? So it goes really deep when it comes to interpersonal relationships. Yeah, I've been talking too long about this, but yeah. So I did tell my parents that I'm no longer a Christian, and one of them kind of was upset about it, and the other one pretty much didn't care. It was like, do you? I guess the way I came up, it was like there were so many different ideas infused in me. Like, if you're gonna train me up a certain way as a child, you want to be the sole one infusing that information that you want to be put inside my head. But when I have so many different aspects coming at me from like religious standpoints, now I'm more like the outside looking in, because I see your point of view, I see your point of view, I see your point of view, see your point of view, see your perspective, I see yours too. Now, I can, looking at all of them, it's like, okay, you're saying you're right, and you're saying you're right, and you're saying you're right. So somebody's got to be wrong. So I'm going to just step back and look. So I've always had that standpoint, you know, but I was leaning more towards being a Christian because there's a way that you can infuse an idea in a human being by mass persuasiveness that puts it actually brings something out of you that is so strong and so hidden inside you that you think it's something else other than you. That had to have been God, you know. And I do believe in God, and a lot of times it is God. If it's good, God is good. So if it's good, it's God, you know. And so that's, you know, but you know, sometimes feelings can overwhelm people by hypnosis, you know, not saying it's intentional, but by like a mass hypnosis, like those Salem witch girls started having that mass hysteria. Oh, it's me, oh, Lord, it wasn't me, you know. It was very profound, and it had very harsh results, and it can be very dangerous. So I understand that. I'm saying understand because I do stand under that, because it's the truth. I'll stand under the truth. You know, I won't stand under a lie, but I'll stand under the truth, and I'll overstand a lie, but I'll understand the truth because the truth is like number one, like on top. Like the truth is it's freeing. But yeah, if you want to talk to your parents, you know, don't be afraid to raise questions, because the answer that you get from them will help you to make your decision in life, you know, in adulthood and through your path and through your journeys. You don't want to have your parents' journey. You don't want to have their struggle. You know, you always want to be, each generation is supposed to be better than the next. So you want to be better than your parents, and you want to create your own path. You know, even though you should have a lot of influence from your parents, you should also have a lot of influence from like yourself, from like the inside, like your common sense, what your inner core tells you. And I guess at some point in time, you'll have to stop being afraid to speak out against lie and for truth. So yeah, this is my first video at home. So I know I'm probably looking kind of, what they say, ratchet, but I don't really deem that as a bad term. Yeah, so I just came out.